This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Tuesday, November 25th, 2025, and we're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I will be joined by Ethan Robson of agmarket.net for our closing market coverage. But first, it is my discussion with Bryce Baker of PTx as we talk about the importance of precision ag technology at a time like right now when margins are tight for farmers, helping farmers to farm their most efficiently.
Mark Magnuson for the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm joined today by Bryce Baker of PTx. We are at the NAFB trade show for 2025 here in Kansas City, Missouri. Bryce, always good to talk with you. Thanks for joining me here on the show today. And I wanted to ask you, we're wrapping up harvest season, so what does that mean? Well, to the average person, they might think, well, farming's done for now. That's not the case. We're already getting ready for next season. What are you already thinking about?
Yeah, farming never stops, So obviously planting is kind of the next thing, and that's something that farmers need to think about, planter, prep, and that. But I think a new area that a lot of farmers should be focusing on is thinking about how they want to prepare for spraying, actually, in the following season. Planter technology has just improved so much in the past few years. We've made leaps and bounds the last 10, 15 years. But if you look at the sprayer, most of the technology has been actually to the chassis, the cab, not so much in the delivery of the product from the tank to the ground. And so there's some new developments as you think about nozzle control as well as just targeted spraying. I think farmers can really benefit from and should be thinking about. So, through the PTx, the Precision Planting brand, there's kind of the Symphony family of products. And the Symphony family goes from nozzle control, where you can have independent control of pressure and rates, all the way to targeted spraying, where you can actually use cameras, see weeds, turn nozzles off.
And Bryce, when I think about that, that makes 100% perfect sense because as a farmer right now, margins are tight. You're going to want to be as effective as possible. So when you're dialing in, for example, that nozzle technology to be as efficient with that product as possible, that's going to make a big difference for a farmer.
Yeah, a huge difference. With just nozzle control, there's independent control of rate and pressure as well as individual nozzle control. So nozzle by nozzle, swath control, and turn compensation. Then if someone chooses to upgrade to camera technology, you actually get variable rate herbicide application. So most herbicide labels will indicate, hey, for weeds that are over a certain height or a high density, spray this rate, under a height, spray this rate. This varies, but a lot of times we just pick one. Well, with Symphony Vision, the cameras are looking at weed severity, a combination of height and severity, or height and density, and then we'll increase the rate to whatever the farmer sets when it needs a higher rate, and then we'll drop it back. But then moving to Symphony Vision Spot, where it will actually shut nozzles off, this is where kind of that chemical savings really comes into play. So there's not only chemical savings, but there's also just utilizing the resources as well as you can.
And with the ability of the cameras to spot the weeds and hit that shot of product that it needs right there, how accurate has it proven to be in terms of seeing this technology work? Is it dialed in so that it's going to make a big time difference for a grower?
Yeah, so of course it depends what your weed pressure is, how much savings you're going to get. The approach with the Symphony Vision Spot system is, we described it more as like a carpet bombing or an area where the weed is as opposed to trying to snipe that individual weed. And so with that, we've had great success. I talked to a farmer in Illinois earlier this year who said, I thought the system wasn't working correctly because it was turning on where I didn't see a weed. But when I got out of the cab to validate it, it was seeing weeds I didn't see. And so I'd say the accuracy has been good. One of the things with the technology is, it's an investment up front. You put that on your sprayer, but once it's on your sprayer, You own it. There's no per acre charges with the system. So whatever savings you get from the chemical perspective, they're all your savings.
So you have that upfront cost, you know what it is, and then on the back end, anything that you're saving is obviously already taken care of with that initial cost.
100%. And if you adjust your sprayer program or your herbicide program, maybe you want to add another pass. That extra pass, so you can just clean up, make sure you've got all the weeds, maybe a third pass or whatever that may be. Hey, you might be only spraying 5 to 10% of the time, and you get significant chemical savings, a lot of efficiency. There was another grower that I heard the story when he was making that pass, he mixed up a 50-acre load and sprayed 800 acres because he was only spraying, a very low percentage of the time, getting that savings, but getting the clean fields. Not a lot of fuel, not a lot of tendering, not a lot of herbicide used, and basically everything that he saved.
And that's a perfect illustration of exactly what we're talking about. And then also, maybe one of those unintended benefits, obviously we all want to work in a sustainable manner, but you're not using as much product. That's a sustainability plus as well.
Yeah, 100%. Farmers say all the time, farmers want to leave a legacy. Farmers want to take care of the land. Also need to grow a crop, also need to make money doing that. And so there's that tension, but the desire to be as environmentally friendly as possible is ingrained in the farmer. And so if we don't need to spray, let's not. We haven't had the technology to not do that in the past, but there's also studies out there that say, hey, there's better yield when that crop doesn't have to metabolize herbicide. So if we're spraying on less crop because there's not weeds present there, there's potential for yield increases just from that as well.
Bryce, how can our Iowa growers learn more about some of the things we talked about today, or if they have any questions?
Yeah, so we have a number of dealers across Iowa. So for this technology we talked about, it's Precision Planting brand. So precisionplanting.com. You can look at products, sprayers, and look at the suite of products that's available, as well as find a local dealer there. If they have a local dealer, reach out and have a conversation about what technology might be the right next step on the farm.
He is Bryce Baker with PTx, my guest here today at the NAFB convention. Bryce, always good to talk with you. Thanks so much for making time for me here today, and have a great rest of the show.
All right, you too, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you to Bryce Baker of PTx for joining today's episode of Ag Matters PM. And it is time now for the closing markets. I'm joined by Ethan Robson of agmarket.net. Ethan, it started the day a little bit quiet in the grains. Is that how we closed today?
Yeah, relatively quiet day, two-sided trade going on. Was in the red for most of the morning for corn, soybeans. Wheat continues to be impressed. Wheat, December Chicago is up 4 1/4 today. December corn unchanged. For those that have decent basis contracts, need to get out of those by tomorrow morning. First notice day for December futures is Friday. And then soybeans traded both sides today. January up 3/4 cent at 11.24 even.
So as we look at the trading week, it is a little bit of a different schedule. No trade on Thursday for the Thanksgiving holiday. Friday is shortened, but only by an hour. So could we continue this quiet trend throughout the week, do you think, Ethan, at the risk, of course, of any big headline moving the markets?
We definitely can, and that's the one thing about weeks like this, especially during the holiday. A little bit less volume, but if we have any sort of headline-driven risk, any sort of headlines, this could definitely move the market. And so while it is a holiday week and we want to make sure we eat well, definitely want to still pay attention to the markets during weeks like this because violent moves can happen, and they've happened in the past. So it's definitely going to be interesting to stay on top of it.
Well, we started off talking about it being a little bit quiet on the grain side. It has not been quiet on the cattle side of the livestock markets. What did we see there in the trade today?
Yeah, more impressive trade today compared to yesterday. Slim down move in live and feeder cattle. Live cattle, a little bit quiet on the front months, down 20 cents. A little bit more action in the back months. See some spread action there. The April contract up 67, June up $1.65. Feeder cattle led the way today in the protein sector. Feeder cattle, January up $2.10, going out to May up $3.32. And so seeing some more impressive price action there compared to yesterday. News that Tyson shut down one of their food plants, drive the market down yesterday. And so to see this price action today has definitely been good to see.
So when we have a headline like that, like we saw yesterday with the Tyson plant in Nebraska closing, is it just then the sense that it was a little bit of an overreaction yesterday when we see that limit down move, but then bounce right back here today?
Definitely say so. Yeah, to see that there was no follow through from yesterday's price action and ended up closing higher today for most of the live and feeder cattle markets. That's definitely good to see and definitely important to see too. On the technical sides, we made new lows that we haven't seen in the live cattle since May 16th for the February contract. Feeder cattle, new lows since July 7th, but still, relatively speaking, to see today's price action was definitely rewarding and definitely good compared to yesterday's.
What about the hog side of the livestock market?
Yeah, hogs today relatively quiet, more green on the screen. February is down 17 cents, but back months were definitely impressive. February contract continuing to try to find some sort of bottom here today. Went up to the 20-day moving average about a week ago, found some resistance there, fell back. Trading along the 10-day right now on the technical charts. Need to get above the 20-day to see anything more.
What's the best way for our viewers to get in touch for more marketing information?
Yeah, give us a call here in Bloomington Normal, 1-800-779-1515. Visit us online, agmarket.net. Test out our free Intel or MyFarm software for 30 days. Be happy to help.
He's Ethan Robson of agmarket.net, my guest here on Tuesday. Ethan, always appreciate your time. Thank you so much and have a great Thanksgiving.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you to Ethan Robson of agmarket.net for joining today's show. Let's take a look at the closing market numbers, which you can find anytime under the markets tab of our website at iowaagnet.com. December corn closes down a quarter cent at 423.5. January soybeans up 1.5 at 11.24 3/4. December soybean meal up 2.80 at 3.17 even. December soybean oil up 12 cents at 50.30. Chicago wheat up 5 cents at 5.27 1/4. Minneapolis wheat up 2 pennies at 5.83. Kansas City hard red wheat up 6 cents at 5.13 1/4. December oats up 14 1/4 at 3.15 1/4. On the Merc, December live cattle closes down 20 cents at 2.07 even. January feeder cattle up 2.10 at 307.08. December lean hogs up 25 cents at 78.45. December pork cutout unchanged at 93.23. Class 3 milk down 23 cents at 15.96. That wraps up our closing market coverage for today and brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. There you'll find our daily news stories as well as all of our podcasts. And again, you can find that at iowaagnet.com. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. For Riley Smith and Dustin Huffman, you've been watching Ag Matters PM.